Hello, everyone. This is your girl, Donna D, aka the Urban Mommy, and I am back with another podcast. Today, I have Devin joining me, and we are going to be talking about a lot of different subjects. And the most important, which I kind of focus on a lot, is the trauma, but we're going to talk about ways to deal with trauma and other things as well. So, Devin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi Donna. Thank you so much for having me on. My name is Devin, and I have a spiritual business where I help clients through Reiki, evidential psychic mediumship, and quantum healing, so they can overcome their traumas and design the life that they've always known that they should be living.
Okay, so I've seen Reiki. Wait, Reiki? Wait, hold on one second.
It's okay.
Sorry. So can you explain what Reiki? Wait, say it again. I keep saying it wrong.
Reiki, so it's like a
Reiki.
sun ray and a door key. Reiki.
Reiki. Gotcha. So can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so Reiki is a Japanese word that it's two words in one. So Rei is like the universal, and Ki is life force energy. So it's like when you hear the Ki, the Chi, the prana, we've all heard those words in passing. And so it means the universal life force energy. So in really layman's terms, Reiki is the energy from which we were all created, source energy, and it is unconditional love. So what happens is Reiki practitioners don't do any of the healing. We are essentially light switches. So when we do our incantation, we turn it on, you turn your light switch on, the Reiki starts to flow, and it gets directed wherever we choose to. So if we were having a session, I would incant the Reiki, and then you would start receiving it. And Reiki works because it is unconditional love, which is the highest frequency of energy. And so when that gets in your energetic bodies and your physical bodies, it can transmute the lower energies in our cells. And, I mean that in a literal form, not in the hashtag high vibes only. If you look up the frequency of emotions, unconditional love is on top and everything else is below. So everything that is not unconditional love gets transmuted so that it can evolve towards unconditional love. And that is how healing starts, because you can't really do a lot of great healing work unless you have love and compassion involved in your process.
That is so true. So how difficult is it for someone that isn't very familiar to get comfortable with the process?
To receive a session, not really. It's kind of like getting a massage. So if you're doing in person, you're lying down on a massage table, and then the Reiki starts. So it's hands off. So I might have my hands, over your shoulders or head or whatnot. I also use crystals, essential oil, and herbs throughout my sessions as well, just to help amplify the process and help to really infuse the healing deep within. So in order to get people comfortable who are newer to the practice, we might have a longer intake in the beginning where we just talk, get to know one another, so that you feel really comfortable trusting me on your healing process, because trust is really important when you are working with anybody in any modality.
Exactly. So how did you get introduced to it?
To be completely honest, I had a friend come up to me and say, I just had a Reiki session. It was amazing. I want to get attuned to it. And I was like, what the heck is Reiki? I've never heard of that word. And she explained it to me, and I was like, that sounds fake. You wasted your money. It was like what I said in my head. I didn't say that out loud. And about a week or two later, one of my yoga instructors she and I were talking after class, and she's like, oh, I'm a Reiki master. If you ever want a session, I'll gift you a session for free. And I was like, okay, this stuff keeps coming up. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I've spent an hour doing worse in my life. So I went, and it was such a profound experience. Like, I was seeing past lives. I had my grandfather come into the session, who's been a really big spiritual guide for me. And afterwards, she knew all these different things about my body that I hadn't mentioned. She was like, oh, what happened to your knee? And I had injured my knee in like a boat tubing accident a couple years ago, and she wouldn't have known about it. And I was like, how do you know my life? Like, what's going on? What type of sorcery just happened? And I knew about halfway into the session, I was like, this is amazing, and I need it in my life every single day. So I started off as a full non-believer, and then just via experience.
So I saw that you're also a psychic.
Yeah.
Was this before or after? Because I would assume you would have to be kind of aware on a different level to be a psychic. So I'm assuming this came after.
Yes, it did. So
Yeah.
everybody is psychic. Everybody's had those experiences where, you think of somebody and they call you on the phone, or you think of a song and it comes on the radio, things like that. So we all have psychic abilities, but we just haven't been taught to tune into it. And yeah, it did start. So with Reiki training, at least the way that I did it, there's 3 different levels. You have level 1, level 2, and then Reiki master. And after my level 2 training, I started getting more kind of intuitive hits or spiritual downloads when I was working with my clients. And I would get to know, like how I mentioned that Reiki master knew about a knee injury that I had. I would get information from my clients. Um, one instance was I was working on somebody and they had teenage children. And I asked her after, I was like, hey, this is kind of a little out there, but would you understand having trouble breastfeeding your daughter? And she's like, what? Yes, I did. That's so random. And
Wow.
so I just kept having those experiences and didn't really have a direction in which to go. And I'm such a nerd. I always love to make sure that I'm doing things ethically. And so I went into training. I found somebody who taught psychic mediumship and I studied under them for several years. And I have another mentor now, but yeah.
So forgive me for sounding ignorant, but so when you do psychic, do you also is do all psychic do like the tarot cards, or that's just like here in New Orleans? Because I know I have a psychic client, and she does the cards for me sometimes.
Um, I mean, I would say everybody who works with tarot cards is psychic, but not everybody who's psychic uses tarot cards. So it's another one of the healing modalities that is available. I love to get my tarot cards read. I just haven't put forth the effort to understand how to use them. I prefer
Mhm.
oracle cards, and that I mean it's really just preference. I think tarot
Yeah,
cards are really cool. I like them a lot.
yeah. I know you said that everybody is psychic, and I do believe. I believe in it. It just I kind of feel that I'm one of those people that's not sensitive enough to experience it. Like I remember when my mom passed, I kept going. In fact, this is how my client and I started talking. I kept telling her, I never see my mom. I never see my mom. And I'm like, why? Why does she come see me? So I would always I just think that something is inside of me that doesn't allow me to get to that next level.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have that blockage within them. I know that's something my husband is working on, because he's like, how do you do what you do? I want to experience that. And I think mothers especially. I mean, there's mother's intuition, women's
Right.
intuition, and it's just about giving yourself permission. So if that's something that you really want to delve into, what I usually suggest people do is to find, and this can be done in like 2 minutes, just find a quiet place, sit down, take some breaths, and then connect up to whatever source energy you feel, whatever benevolent energy you believe is to be out there, and ask them for your gifts to start coming.
Okay. I'm gonna try. Like I said, I've always been intrigued by that life. And people think I'm weird sometimes. So I always talk about it like I'm literally intrigued by it. I love the other, like when they talk about the other dimensions and stuff like that. I
Mhm.
just hope that one day I'm able to actually tap into that side. So
Yeah.
with trauma,
Mhm.
with trauma, how like effective have you seen it become the with Reiki?
Reiki, I think, is a really great way for the nervous system to get calmed down because you are just receiving that energy of unconditional love. And there should be that really deep connection with your Reiki practitioner to where you feel safe enough to open up and safe enough for when those triggers start coming up, you are grounded enough to process them, to reprogram your brain and be like, okay, I'm triggered right now, but I'm sitting in my home and I am safe because of all the reasons why you're physically safe in that moment. What I have the best success with my clients on overcoming trauma is with my quantum healing. And what that is the quantum dimension is the fifth dimension. And in that space, all time and experiences you're able to access it all at once. And so with that, we go into, depending on what the topic is. So I recently did quantum healing on my sexual trauma. And so you go back to the first experience and you go through 6 emotions. So it's anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, and shame. And so you ask your unconscious mind, because that's where we store our beliefs and our perceptions of the world around us. You ask your unconscious mind where that first moment, that root cause of anger around that situation was put into your mind. And it could be from your lifetime. It could be generationally that was passed down. I know it's really common for trauma to be a generational issue. It could be from a past life if that's something within your belief.
Yeah.
And so you go back, and my experience is oftentimes it's not necessarily in this lifetime that it
Mm.
was first put in your lineage. And so you go back to that time, whenever it was, and you find the wisdom of all of those emotions around that topic, and you retain the wisdom, because a lot of times when we have these limiting beliefs that we impose on ourselves, they were put there for a protective nature, like a self-preservation mode. So you find out the wisdom of that self-preservation and you leave the anger, and then you come back to present time and you restructure your timeline so that you're able to better understand and reprogram that belief within you so that you can react and respond and move forward in a different way.
Okay. So, is this something that can be done alone, or do you need like a professional, like for the first time?
So for the quantum work, I really recommend working with a professional. Reiki, what was most appealing to me about that was that I could practice Reiki on myself every single day because it's just so amazing. But I do recommend with the quantum work for that to be done with a facilitator.
Okay. Um, do you have like any interesting stories with the quantum healing and with the Reiki?
Yeah, what do you want to know?
Because I mean, this, I'm like, I told you, I'm really intrigued. Like, I like Insidious,
Mhm.
so I'm telling you, I'm like all into this type of stuff. So I'm very like interested about it. So is there like any interesting stories that happen as like some aha moments or some wow moments?
Yeah, I think one of the craziest things that happened to me was one of my first mediumship experiences
Mm.
where I was practicing Reiki on a client, and all of a sudden I felt her grandfather come into the room. And I was just like, what is happening? I was a brand new practitioner, didn't really know, this was kind of like a, hey, can you be my guinea pig type deal? And the only thing I had heard of is if you feel energy attached to somebody, you like cut cords and vanish. I was like, but this feels like such a sweet man. Like, why would I want to, cut cords? Like, I wouldn't want to cut cords with someone that loved me that much?
Right, right.
And so I was just asking him all the information he was giving me. And I was like, I was like, could you provide me evidence so I can talk to my client about this so she can, fill me in on what's going on? And after she's like, oh my God, that was this man, he lived across the street from me when I grew up, and he was just like a grandfather to me. And I was thinking about him the other day, and I was like, holy,
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, but something a little bit more wild. It seems like you wanted to know.
I used to
So
know that was a good one. Like I used to watch what Tyler Henry, I think his name,
yeah,
and I'm really into this. So I was watching Tyler, and I would just be amazed at like the way he could like actually say like those. That's why I wanted to like talk to like my mom or talk to anybody that was deceased. I wanted to like go to like I did it before, but
mhm.
never, no one from the other side has ever visited me. But
Oh,
I like to listen to the stories though, because
yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah, that's I meant to say when you were bringing up your mom. So there's there's lots of energy that goes behind communicating with somebody, people in the spirit world communicating with us, just as much effort as it is for us to work with them. They have
Hmm.
to, kind of work through a couple of things and to get their message to us.
Okay.
And oftentimes with that, there could be different reasons, like maybe we are pushing our loved ones away, because I know, especially my dad passed away about a year and a half ago, and I felt him so strongly when he passed, but I
Mhm.
was all caught up in my grief and all of
Yeah.
these emotions, and I was pissed off, and so I was like pushing him away. And so I was creating the disconnect in that communication. Also, there could be, they might want to take a little bit longer to come to us. I don't know how long ago your mom has passed, but time is very different in the spirit world. Like it
Okay.
doesn't really exist. And then also, it could just be that they don't have any more to say to us. I don't find that as typical with parents. They usually like
Right.
to stick around.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Now, see, I know my mom would love to talk to me because I
Mhm.
mean, I literally have not. She was with me when she passed,
Yeah.
so it was like conversations that we could have finished having. But I mean, I know this was supposed to be about trauma, but of course, I didn't turn it into me. But I love this
Well,
part.
this is trauma.
Right, it is. It definitely is. So, like, my mom literally died, with me. So that's definitely trauma. That's a
Mhm.
traumatic situation, and I know she would have come back to me to talk to me, but a part of me thinks that she'll probably scare me, and she knows that.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. They want to make sure that the way they communicate with you is through love, because that's
Yeah.
been my experience, is the spirit world is a place of love, and
Yes.
the darkness that gets muddled in that, I believe, is like user error. It's human
Yeah.
created.
Yeah.
Um, especially with mediumship, I've never had a negative experience, but that is something that the spirits do take into consideration. Like, hey, I didn't want to start swinging cabinets open because I,
Right.
you know.
Right. But like I do get like signs and stuff. So I use the numbers. I always say like sometimes I know she'll be talking to me or she'll say something, but it won't be like a visual. It'll be like her birthday numbers will come up or like a song. And I remember one time I smelled her. It was just strange. So and I kind of get happy about stuff like that. But like I said, I don't think I'm fully ready. I think I'm saying I'm ready, but I think I would probably freak out. So that's probably why like
Yeah.
they stay away from me.
Yeah, definitely. Because
Yeah.
they love you and they want to respect that boundary that you're creating. But it does sound like you're a medium if you're smelling. That's like one of, we call that clair abilities in the psychic
Yeah.
medium world.
Yeah.
So olfactory is a mediumship skill.
Okay. So we're in New Orleans, and this is it's almost like you said, everyone has something. I think everyone here definitely has some type of ability because my
Mhm.
mom used to always tell, like, she's been telling me stories since I was young. Like, I was reading dream books when I was like 5. I'll wake up and say, "Oh, mommy, I had a dream," and she'll give me the dream book, and I'll be going through it and saying, "Oh, purple." And so and then she told me that, I don't know if you ever heard of this, but she was said that she was born with like a veil over her.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
that's something that they talk about in New Orleans a lot. I forgot the name of it. I'll have to get my cousin to tell me. But it's like I don't want to say a special power. That sounds weird, but most people that have those um that ability to be like clairvoyant and all that stuff, they're born with something like a veil. Now, what the veil looks like, I don't know. It could just be in a regular film, but this is what they actually say about it. So let me get back to the trauma because I'm getting all excited. so so when you were dealing with your own trauma, because I know you had some of your own situations to deal with, and you started with the Reiki and the quantum, is there was there other things that you did you do like therapy? Was it like one was better than the other, or was it like a combination of them all?
Yeah, so I did just about everything that was out there. I personally didn't take medication. I think that's one of the only things that I didn't do. I think everybody makes their own choices.
Right.
And hands down, the quantum healing
Okay.
is so much more powerful. I went to therapy for almost a decade, and the quantum healing was, which takes, I have like 6 hour and 10 hour breakthroughs that I offer for people. So we'll middle ground that. So 8 hours of quantum healing is much more powerful than the 10 years of therapy that I went through. As far as like really clearing it out,
Really?
all that to say is it was helpful to go to therapy because I was able to put a voice to what happened to me. I was
Talk
able
about.
to tell my story, but there becomes a point in many healing modalities where you just get stagnant.
Yeah.
And I had reached that. I had overcome what I needed to overcome in therapy. It was extremely helpful for me. But I'm the type of person where I was like, I want this out of me. I
Yeah.
didn't ask for it to happen. I don't want it to affect any more of my life than it's already affected. And that is what the quantum healing does. It takes that out, and it really, since you're transforming those beliefs and you're only moving forward with the wisdom instead of the trigger behind it, you're able to really just clear that out and then move forward with what you want instead.
Okay. And so that was going to be my next question. I wanted to know, so not only does the quantum healing heal your past, it also affects how you see things going forward, correct?
Right. Yeah. So I had a client who came to me. She wanted to clear her trauma because she wanted to start attracting a partner in her life. She just felt like she wasn't worthy because of what she had been through. She didn't feel like she was worthy of attracting a good quality man for her life.
Mm.
And so we cleared that out. And I think 5 or 6 months later, she started dating this guy, and they just moved in together this month. Um,
Wow. So
and he's the
is there
sweetest
like
person.
a level to the trauma, or this is like all trauma? So is it like, I know you said sexual abuse, so this is like all trauma, like
Mhm.
it can clear all that out?
Yeah,
Wow. Like
yeah.
even like something like, let's say like someone would have abandonment issues,
Mhm.
anger issues. Because I have a friend, and we were talking the other day, and she said that she has a lot of anger issues. She's like 50 something, 53 maybe, and
Yeah,
she was saying that she needed to go see a therapist, and she's ready to live. Her kids are moving out. She's about to be an empty nester, but she says she wants to enjoy life, but she says she knows that she can't enjoy it because she has so many unhealed trauma. So I'm going to definitely bring this to her.
yeah, that's awesome. And the quantum healing can help with anything. I've had clients, like I mentioned, that client she wanted to come to clear trauma around getting a partner. I just had somebody who wanted to come clear trauma so she didn't pass it on to her children. I had somebody for money story. Had people come to me for their business, um, marital issues,
Mm.
um, ADHD. I mean,
What?
it really is anything. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like what's on my website because it, with the quantum healing, you can just choose a topic and then clear what is holding you back around it. So whatever feels stagnant in your life, if it's your career and you want to know where to go, like what direction to take, you clear out what is holding you back. Because we all have the limiting beliefs around what we feel we are worthy and deserving of.
Yeah.
And once you clear out the limiting beliefs, you can replace that with what you want instead. So often what I hear in the entrepreneur space is a lot of people only feel valued at what they're getting paid at their job. So let's say they have a $50,000 salary at their job. They can't fathom being able to make $150,000.
Right.
But once you clear out the belief of your assigned worth is $50,000, you can replace that with what do you want instead? My assigned belief is now I am worth an unlimited amount of money. I deserve an unlimited, uncapped income.
Okay. So I know I've heard of it like here and there.
Mhm.
My question, I'm trying to see how to pose the question. My question is, how popular is this? Because it seems like this is something that's amazing, but do that many people take advantage of it?
I don't think so. Quantum healing is a little bit newer.
Okay.
I think right now, with where we are energetically in the world, we're closing down one chapter and we're opening up another. That's why everything is so intense and like there's a lot of violence happening right now because we're kind of closing down one chapter and going into the next one. And as we're doing that, it's kind of an up leveling and an upgrading of what we have access to spiritually as we're tapping more into that next wave of energy.
Healing. Okay. And the reason why I'm asking that is because, like, when people ask me questions, like from away, when we get on the talk show, the podcast, and we talk about like candle work and the different things that happen in, New Orleans.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of people, even people that live here, they don't think that candle work is as popular as it is. However, as I got older and started talking more, and as I learned more, I was able to actually pay attention to things that I didn't see before. And candle work is extremely popular here. And like I said, I did not know that. And I've lived here my entire life, but it wasn't until I became an adult and I actually went to the candle store for the first time that I was seeing people like, wait, I know you. Like, you're in here. So a lot of people here tap into that energy. So I think something like that will be big. Do you have to do this in person, or is this something that you can do on like a Zoom call?
Both. So energy works since it is just energy. It doesn't have to
Hmm.
be in person. So I've had clients in Australia and Europe, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world because it's just energy that you're tuning into, and energy doesn't have restraints to space and time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I honestly, like, seriously, I think I want to try it.
Yeah, it's insanely powerful. I know. I feel like the way I talk about it, I sound like one of those infomercial people. I'm like, but wait,
Right. You're a great spokesperson for it. I'm like, I'll buy it.
it has transformed my life, like hands down. I think the most powerful experience I've had with it was overcoming my sexual trauma. And when I tell you, I had never had boundaries in my life before I did that. Like, I'm just realizing I did the clearing in January, and this last year has just been an awakening for me to like just put down boundaries where usually I just let people like do whatever they wanted. And now
Right.
I'm like, no, I should also have a voice in this because I'm involved. Not that I'm
Right.
more important than anybody, but just like I do or don't want to do that. And it's okay for me to say it.
Right. Wow. So it's like a huge transformation for you.
Yeah. And it's the gift that keeps on giving because like I said, I did this in January and I'm still now in October seeing the benefits from it.
Okay. So you are also the founder of Spiritually Balanced. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, spiritually balanced is my business. So that's how I operate and
Oh,
help
okay.
service to the world. I don't know. It just said if I wanted a title and I didn't know if I should
Oh,
have.
okay. So that's just the name of your like Reiki and your quantum healing. You do it under Spiritually Balanced.
Yeah.
Okay. So if one like myself wanted to try the quantum healing, is there anything that I need to do to prepare? Should I read something? Should I, like you said, I'm a nerd too, so I like to read up on everything and get prepared. Is there like a outfit I need? Like, what do I need to do to be prepared?
Um, well, the only thing I ask for my clients is to be fully clothed in whatever way that means for them, but nothing special.
All right.
I have a page on my website if you want to look it up. So my website is spirituallybalanced.com. And then if you
Okay.
go under offerings, you'll find Quantum Time Technique.
Okay.
You can learn about it there. Or you can just reach out to me on social media, spiritually balanced, pretty much everywhere. Instagram and TikTok mostly, but I also have a Facebook page and I get messages in Messenger. Uh,
Okay.
so yeah.
Okay. So that's something that I definitely want to look into, and I would like to report back to everyone. Well, they should be able to see the difference, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you'll
They'll
start feeling it.
they'll start. I mean, it takes a little minute, of course. It takes a while, or is it like is it something immediate, or does it?
I think it's very individual to people because
Okay.
I've had experiences where I felt the change instantly.
Okay.
And then, like my client I mentioned who just moved in with her partner, she didn't feel the changes until she was really going out there and starting to date. And she would notice, like, she would say before she would be on the apps and was like, well, maybe I should give him a chance. Like, I don't want to cut anybody out. And then after PTT, she went on and she's like, this person does not offer what I need. And she was able to then put those boundaries down and just be like, I have a standard.
Gotcha. So I have anxiety, so that's why I'm so anal about trying to make sure I have everything in order, make sure I'm doing it right, because I want to make sure. Because honestly, the whole point about my podcast is to try to better other people, and by bettering other people, I'm also doing it with them. So I'm dealing with my own issues while we're all dealing with it together, because no one is better than the next person. We're all together in this, and I firmly stand by that. So I want to, I want to make myself better, and I've been trying. I am not closed minded to different techniques, and like I said,
Mhm.
this one you did a really good job like selling this, because I'm like extreme. Like, I can't wait to finish this so I can go online and look this up. I'm like, where has this been all my life?
Right. That's how I felt too. And I was like, I walked around with all this trauma this whole time, and I could have just done this.
Right. And I'm wondering, like, if they have that here. Like, I don't think I ever saw anyone say that in New Orleans. I don't think I ever seen anyone say, like, I'm a quantum healer or something like that. I don't know. I remember seeing Reiki. I think one of my clients does Reiki. I want to say she does do that, because I think that's the first time I heard that word. Because
Yeah.
is it like some poses you do too or something with Reiki?
With Reiki, there's hand positioning, and
Yeah.
some people are more of a stickler to what you learn in the manual.
Yeah.
Whereas I practice more intuitively. If I'm
Okay.
working with a client and spirit's like, you need to be at the crown of their head and the soles of their feet, like I'm just wherever I'm just a puppet at that point.
Gotcha. Because I remember when I asked her about it, she gave me a paper, and I remember looking at the paper and seeing like different. The person on there had different like positions, but I didn't look too far into it, to be
Mhm.
honest. Which I didn't even ask further, but I should have, because I would have heard about this a year ago had I done this. So let's talk a little bit about boundaries, because I know you mentioned boundaries, and I'm another person that never really had boundaries, but I am learning as
Mhm.
I'm on my self help journey that boundaries are important. So, can you talk a little bit about boundaries?
Yeah. First, I just want to say I love that you're doing this healing journey along with your listeners. I think that's so empowering. Where it's kind of like oh, what's that called? When you do something with somebody and they help you promote it. I don't know. Accountability buddy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So with boundaries, I feel like women, especially, we've had a lot of things taken from us, either through our own traumas or by being raised by people who didn't overcome their traumas. There's a lot to it, and I think women, were raised often to be like seen and not heard. Like you just have to be content, and that's really all you're allowed to be, but don't voice it too loud. And when you're figuring out your boundaries, one of the best pieces of advice that I received was from my therapist, and she's like, "As you're stepping into this, you're going to go way over to the other end of the spectrum." And she's like, "It might not look pretty, but just apologize, and you'll find that middle ground of what you want to be and how to properly express yourself."
Okay. With with those boundaries. So, when you were younger, I know you said you kind of learned about both of these things, with a friend not too long ago. But when you were younger, were you um how were you? Were you like this, or were you just totally the opposite?
I'd say both. I think when I was a kid, I was a lot more like this because children are just such pure, energetic vessels that they're really in tune with the spirit world.
Yeah.
And I mean, I grew up on a farm, so I remember like being in the woods and touching trees and being like, "Can I talk to a tree?" And I grew up in a really old house that had a lot of spirit activity,
Yeah.
and my family had lived there for a while, so we knew that my parents would just be like, "Oh, that's grandma," like, "Oh, that's grandpa," like, whoever. And I was like, "How do you guys know who these people are? Like, that's weird."
Right.
And then when I got to be a teenager, I was in that like too cool for school. Like I just want to be normal, but like normal was never it wasn't my path, clearly.
Right.
So I tried to fake it till I made it, and I just reverted back to being that weird spiritual kid that talks to trees. So
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
So, if 10-year-old Devin could see you now, what would she probably say?
She'd be excited because she wanted to be a witch who lived in the woods and made potions. And so
Right. Right. So this is kind of right up the alley, huh?
yeah.
That's funny. Okay. So we are getting toward the end of our show. So I asked, similar to the 10-year-old question, if this one is, if you could speak to 17-year-old Devin and just give her some advice for things she's about to go through, what would you tell her?
Buckle up, it's going to be bumpy. Um,
Yeah, pretty much.
but the more empowering statement, I would say, it gets a whole lot better. Just hang in there. And it's the people you're surrounding yourself with. It's not you.
Oof. Make sure my son listens to this one. Yeah, that's oof, just thinking about it. But yeah, that's true. Just thinking about it. Okay, so I know you briefly mentioned your website and how people can keep up with you, but is there anything you want to share with anybody? Let them know how they can follow you, the website. Do you have any books or anything that you got going on?
Yeah, just my website and social media. So again, that is spirituallybalanced.com. And on social media, it's all at spiritually balanced.
At Spiritually Balanced. Okay. All right. So that sounds good. So thank you, Devin, so much. And I'm definitely going to be in touch with you because I do want to work on that healing situation. So I am going to be in touch with you, like literally, like seriously. And again, thank you so much, and thank you for listeners, for you all for being here and staying all the way until the end. I know I've been telling y'all I'm gonna keep it under 40 minutes because sometimes I go too long, but I appreciate y'all for sticking with us because I know every time we get on this podcast somebody is being healed, someone is being touched, someone is being helped by what we're talking about. So, again, thank you, Devin, for joining.
Thank you, Donna, so much for having me. And thank you, everybody listening.
Perfect. Okay, so pretty much that's it. Remember to like, share, comment. But I do have a question. Has anyone ever tried Reiki, or have they ever tried the quantum healing? If you have, please let us know because I am going to try it and I want to read everything about it. Okay, so if the Lord says the same, I will see you all next week. Peace.